What would it be, Ryan the Great? And today we are reacting to the Eagles, I guess you could say, win over the Chicago Bears today. I really don't know what that was. I expected the final score to be 41-6 in favor of the Eagles, and it was a 5-point game. 25-20 was the final score in favor of the Eagles. It was a bad game all around, except for the defense. The defense played okay. But the offense was not good. The play calling was not good. We're going to break it all down. But before we get right into it, guys, I just want to tell you first, we are streaming tonight. We're going live for the Giants versus Commanders game. You don't want to miss this one. I am starting my live at 8:15. Chase Young is back, so you definitely don't want to miss this. And I'm so sorry. Tomorrow, I cannot stream. I was going to stream the Packers versus Rams game. I tried everything in my power to find a way to stream, but it's just not going to be able to happen, guys. My apologies for that. But yeah, it's okay. It is what it is. We actually might be able to stream this Thursday for the for Thursday Night Football, so stay tuned for that. I'll let you guys know. But let's get right into it. Actually, no, we're not going to get right into it. But before we get right into it, guys, I have to tell you to subscribe with your post notifications on. We are the #1 analyst channel on YouTube right now. And to prove that, we are 11 subscribers away from 200 subscribers. So if you guys could subscribe right now, I would really appreciate that. Also, make sure you guys subscribe to my brother Living the Great blogs. Also, make sure you follow me on Twitch at Ryan the Great Podcast. Become an OG today. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get right into it. So, as you guys know, we always start off with the Eagles. But the first thing, this might have been the most angriest I have been since the Washington game. Oh, I was losing my mind. Stupid plays, stupid play calling. Oh, it was just bad. I mean, I have watched the Eagles and my grandparents for 6 years now. Since 2016, the first year of Carson Wentz, I started watching the Eagles and my grandparents. My grandfather, he never really show his emotions, doesn't really get upset. He says some stuff under his breath, but he was getting pissed, man. I forget there was one play. I think Fields I was able to when Fields was getting on the outside and the Eagles weren't covering it. Oh, I was the most angry I've seen him. In 6 years I don't think he's ever been that mad at the Eagles. But I'm sorry. But let's get right into it. Obviously, we start off with Jalen Hurts. This was probably one of his worst games. I think he still is the MVP. Yeah, he did pass for over 300 yards today, but he only completed 59% of his passes. That's not like him. We're normally used to seeing 65% and above. He threw 2 interceptions. I was not okay with that at all. With a rating of 64.6. He tried to play the deep ball way too much when we only needed about 5 yards on some plays. He would go for 50. And it only worked twice. He underthrew his receivers on some plays. There was one to Stoll he underthrew. There was one to Smith I saw he underthrew. And tried to fit too many passes in tight windows instead of just trying to look for somebody else or just tucking it and running it. He tried to be, I feel like on this game he tried a little too much to do some fancy stuff, which he's just not, I don't think he's ready for that yet. He just needs to be that quarterback that we've seen. And the run game was a no today. He ran the ball way too many times. A lot of them were unnecessary. I felt like there were times where he could have just threw it away, or he could have just, I don't know, try and find somebody. There was one play on Smith in the first quarter. I think it was the first drive. He was able to find Smith on 3rd down. He could have tried something like that. He only had an average of 3.6 yards per carries. Too many read options that he could have given to Sanders. Yeah, it was just not a good run game. Not the best game for Jalen Hurts, but he's able to get the job done. It is what it is. Miles Sanders, speaking of him, this was probably his worst game of the year. He had 11 carries for 42 yards, an average of 3.6 yards per carry as well. There was a few times he could have cut back into better, to find a better hole. But he just decided to go through, the first one he saw. He probably could have hesitated and just, cut back and done something else. But ultimately decided he was not going to do that. And his receiving game, oh my God, why, man? He caught the ball, and instead of tucking it where, the defensive line is rushing, is going to be coming at you because the offensive line's already upfield trying to block for you, instead of tucking it like this, you have it like this and get it popped out, and that was at the time when the Eagles had all the momentum on their side, and then they gave it right back to the Bears because of that fumble. It was just a bad game. This is the guy who wants a big contract. In this game, if this was the first game of the season, I'd be like, you're not getting that big contract, brother. Anyway, obviously, next we move on to the Batman. A.J. Brown, I'm not going to completely kill him, okay? When you look at the stats, you obviously think, like, what was wrong with today's game? Ryan had a really good game. He had 9 catches for 181 yards. He came up really clutch with the catch at the end, like with the 50-yard catch, whatever it was. That was the catch where he had 4 minutes to go, 50 yards, yada yada. He had to seal the game. He had that catch on 3rd and 6. So yeah, he did that to seal the game. So he came up pretty clutch. But when you look at the fact that he had 16 targets with only 9 catches, that is 56% of his catches he had, or targets he had. And for the most part, was shut down by Johnson. Johnson did a really good job getting his hands in the way of Brown. The only route that really Brown was able to get, a catch off of was the slant. I was a little disappointed. But I think 181 yards makes up for like only 56% of his catches were completed. But just a better game next time. Obviously, his fantasy people are happy, so I don't know. Moving on to Devontae Smith, I thought the Eagles should have went to him a little bit more. He had 8 targets, 5 catches for 126 yards. He had some big catches on 3rd down, and that 45-yard catch in the first half to put the Eagles on the board. So I thought he had a really great game. He helped the Eagles when they really needed it. He made some nice catches, yada yada, whatever. Quez Watkins. If he was inactive, I don't think I would have noticed. I'll be honest with you guys. His 6 yards didn't help anything. And he kept trying to go to the outside after catches off of crossing routes. I thought that was pretty stupid. He could have just cut inside and tried to get the first down instead of making all this fancy moves. I thought that was really dumb. The Eagles tried getting him going on jet sweeps, but his 2 carries for 4 yards did not help whatsoever. Just a terrible game for Quez Watkins. I hope he can come back because I do like Quez Watkins. I think he's going to be a future player on the Eagles, but that game does not prove why he should be. The offensive line was pretty good on pass protection. They only gave up 1 sack when they are, prone to giving up 3 or 4 sacks a game, or maybe even 5 sacks. I don't even, not 5 sacks, like 3 or 4 sacks a game. But the Bears don't rush much, which, that probably was part of it. But the run blocking was pretty bad. They opened up just about no holes for Miles Sanders. The only good hole that they really opened up was when Hurts had his first rushing touchdown. And speaking of Hurts' rushing TDs, they were just 1-yard carries into the end zone. It really was nothing special. But except for that one run where he just completely dashed in the end zone. I could give my analysis on that play, but we would be here for 10 years. Next, I don't really bring up the play calling, but that was really, really bad today, man. In the first quarter, Hurts started out for 1 for 4. It was something like that. And then on the next drive, we went 1 for 4, we lost the ball. And then on the very next drive, we threw the ball 3 straight times. I really did not understand why we kept throwing the ball when we have a guy like Miles Sanders, who had 144 yards last week, just broke the 1,000 rushing mark that he's never done in his career. I'm not sure why we didn't give it to him a little more. He didn't have the best game, but I feel like the offensive line could have done better. And the offensive line could have done better if we would have ran the ball through Landon Dickerson. We kept running the ball through Isaac Sayamala when, it was proven in the past few weeks that has not worked. When we ran the ball through Landon Dickerson and Jordan Mailata, it's worked a lot better. I'm not sure why we didn't do that. I don't know if we wanted to just, have the Cowboys, study our film more. I don't know what they really wanted. If they wanted, I feel like this play calling was designed more to focus on the Cowboys. I don't know. It was just bad. And then in the fourth quarter, we kept running the ball like we were in control when we were only up 4 points. And, the offense looked completely terrible. And we have a guy like an all-star in Devontae Smith who can come up in big moments, as well as A.J. Brown. I'm not sure why we kept running the ball thinking we had it in control. I get it's good that you have faith in your defense that they're going to get a stop. Being the fact if you don't get a first down on those runs, it just wasn't good play calling at all, and I'm very upset because Steichen's done pretty well in the past few weeks. We move on to the defense. The run defense against Montgomery was good. He did average 4.4 yards a carry, but he only had 53 yards rushing. The rush defense against Justin Fields, though, was another was another like disaster. On read options, the guy on the outside, primarily Brandon Graham, who I thought this was his worst game of the year. You were saying last week I gave him a lot of credit that he could be comeback player of the year, yada, yada, yada. That did not look like it this week. He played absolutely terrible. He kept biting for the running back on read options, and he let Justin Fields get away from him about 2 times. It was really bad. And when Fields would get to the outside on pass plays for Graham or Reddick, and primarily Reddick, he would, instead of going around, and he would like cut in through the B gap, and then Fields would have this wide open space. I'm not sure why that play was designed. It just really didn't make much sense. We know Justin Fields is probably the best rushing quarterback in the NFL. Statistically, he is. It was just really stupid. I don't know. It is what it is, but yeah, Fields was able to get around then, and the rest was history. The rush defense, though, not the rush defense, the pass rush defense was great. 6 sacks, 2 each by Sweat, Reddick, and Hargrave. Sweat, I love his new taunt, like the Sweat thing. I love that. That's really good. He used his speed. He cut in the inside a few times. He got a sack off that. He had a sack where he like ran around then. He just is so fast. It's really amazing. Hargrave, he's just straight power. He was able to get the thumbs up in the shoulder pads. I thought that was really good, and just powered down the offensive lineman and was able to sack Justin Fields. There was one play where Fields came from out under center, and he just like read that like a book and took down Fields. Reddick, it literally looked like he was pushing weights out there, man. He was just like, it was just like, he played great. Just pushing weights out there. He applied some great pressure to Justin Fields. He played great. I'm not going to let the missed sack and him getting blocked on a few runs take away his great game. He made Fields cower in the pocket, and hey, it's not his fault the secondary couldn't take down Justin Fields, all right? He did miss one tackle, but, it's not his fault the secondary couldn't take him down. The linebackers were all right. I already brought up Reddick, but White, I thought was going to have a pretty good game when I saw in the first quarter. He made some stops on Montgomery, yada, yada, yada. I thought he was going to do well, but nothing really came from after that. TJ Edwards, he was solid. He made some tackles. He had 9 total tackles, but didn't do a good job of spying on Fields on the plays that he was supposed to. But a solid game nonetheless. The secondary, they didn't get much of a chance. Fields only threw the ball 21 times, but when he threw the ball, it was effective. 66% of his passes completed and threw for 2 touchdowns. Now, a lot of those throws were short, but I felt that Bradbury did give up some plays, so I guess this was his, quote, bad game. I'm not entirely sure, depending on what people think about it. But they never really lent to Slay. They did go to him once. He did give up a touchdown to Pringle. It was right in the end, and I was kind of annoying because he should have just stuck on Pringle. He only would have been able to run a go route since he was on the sideline. I really don't know where he would have went. If he would have run a crossing route or a dig route, Fields would have had to throw across his body, and he wasn't going to do that. It was just not. That play was just not good. I'm not going to let one play though dictate his whole game. But if I had to describe the secondary in one word, I would say okay. It wasn't that amazing, but it wasn't terrible either. They were able to get the job done. The defense overall played pretty well. They only gave up 20 points. I was a little, as I said before the game, if the Bears score more than 17, I was going to be a little upset. I kind of am. The Bears are just a terrible offensive team. They can't throw the ball too well, and Fields was able to complete 66% of his passes, and he gave up 95 rushing yards to Justin Fields. It was just not good. The bottom line, no matter what people say about the Bears, we had to win this game, and they ended up doing that, which was good. And we were able to keep a 3-win lead in the division. The Cowboys lose. I'm not going to make any fun of the Cowboys right now. I did a little bit, though, right after they lost. I'm not going to make too much fun of them now because we had a terrible game ourselves. But if we see this Eagles offense, I'm not going to say defense because the defense played okay. The one play when Sanders fumbled, there really was not much for the defense to do. So I won't really down them like that there. But if we see this Eagles offense next week against Dallas, we're in big trouble. Moving on to the Bears. Don't tell me the receivers or Montgomery had a good game. I'm only saying one thing about them. They were mediocre, okay? It was all Justin Fields, baby. I have some real good faith in Justin Fields. I was one of the people advocating for the Jets to take Justin Fields over Zach Wilson. I'm not sure why they didn't do that, but what it is. He was incredible. We know he is something special. And with better weapons, I think if Claypool might have played, or if Mooney, yada yada, Herbert was in this game, they probably could have won this game. He was able to get out of the pocket and threw great once again, completing 66% of his passes. They probably should have passed the ball a little more, but it is what it is. But his running was the story of the game. 15 carries for 95 yards, and none of them were really unnecessary runs. He didn't force it. He ran when he needed to, and just played overall incredible. The defense was mostly able to shut down A.J. Brown until really the end of the third and the fourth quarter, but couldn't guard Devontae Smith one-on-one, and they couldn't hold the Eagles down in the last drive in the first quarter, and primarily on that last play on 3rd and 6 at the end of the game. The bottom line, there's not much to play for now. You're officially eliminated from the playoffs. You've lost 7 straight games. I would consider shutting Justin Fields down for the season. He got hurt today. I think it was his hamstring or something like that. And you can't really have your future jeopardized just because you want him to break some sort of record or whatever it is. I don't really know. It is what it is. But I'm glad we got the win today. We got Dallas next week on Christmas Eve. I'm not sure how I'm going to coordinate that. I might just post a video, the reaction video on Christmas. No, I can't do that. I don't know when I'll film the reaction video, but I'm going to film I'll probably film, like, the, whatchamacallit, like, the previewing video, like, early, and I'll probably post it, like, at, I don't know, 2 o'clock, somewhere around there, but we'll worry about the next week, guys. But that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you subscribe with your post notifications on. Go subscribe to my brother, Lindy Great Vlogs. Make sure you stop by stream tonight. It's going to be a fun one with Chase Young returning, and, yeah, it's glad to see somebody lose in the division for once. But, yes, go subscribe to my brother Ryan the Great Vlogs. Also, make sure you follow me on Twitch at Ryan the Great Podcast. And as always, Ryan the Great out. Peace.